Hello everyone, it is Nancy Taylor here from HeyNancyTaylor.com and welcome to today's video. We are going to be talking about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when you feel like an imposter. In the content you create, in the topics you teach, you don't feel expert enough, and this makes you question what you're teaching. It makes you question if you're the right person to be teaching it. You feel like you have to prove your worth and you have to prove that you are expert enough, and often you're only proving it to yourself. Because let me give you a little story. I am a YouTube coach, and I have had 100,000 subscribers. I've had 6-figure launches, which is all great. But currently, my YouTube channel is losing subscribers. And I claim that I am a YouTube coach. Why do I feel so much peace? And I just feel completely content with the title YouTube coach, although my YouTube channel is declining in subscribers. The analytics are not pretty. They don't look great right now. And I'm going to teach you the 3 things that I use that give you a lot of peace and just that feeling of contentment. You just feel a lot more content in your business and your brand. What does this do for you? It allows you to launch. It allows you to learn. It allows you to keep moving forward and not stay stuck. And if you think about it, when I say I'm a YouTube coach, I don't have people question or say, well, what does she know? Or the only person questioning it is often ourselves. Am I expert enough? I don't know enough. And then when we seem insecure and fearful and it comes across. But what if you just allowed yourself to be a beginner? You allowed yourself to know 10% more than the person behind you. You don't have to be the advanced version. And this happened with me teaching ESL online. I had just taken a training on teaching ESL. I didn't study it in college. I think I took 1 class in college to get my education license. And I would start sharing the videos after I took the training. And others would say, this is so helpful. They hadn't taken the training yet. They hadn't learned that yet. And so I could just make it bite-sized, so simple for them to understand, and I could be helpful and an expert and an authority. Does this mean that I was an imposter? Probably. There were people that knew a lot more than I did, but it didn't keep me stuck and from teaching and sharing. So this has been coming up a lot in coaching calls I've been doing. And if you've experienced imposter syndrome and you've noticed that you're riding this roller coaster in your business, in your brand, with the content that you're creating online, and you feel a little bit insecure on what you're teaching, then I hope that these 3 things help you out. So number 1, pay attention to your thoughts. I wrote a couple down. I'm not expert enough. I haven't gotten the same results as fill in the blank of others that teach the same thing you do. I'm not sure what I want to create content on. Sometimes we stay in confusion because we don't feel like we're expert enough, or we don't want to choose one thing to teach. And it could be coming from lack or fear. It could be, I'm never going to be able to prove I'm good enough at this. You're never going to be able to get the results to prove you're good enough to keep doing it. That was confusing. You're never going to be able to create these results that you can prove to yourself, oh, I'm worthy to be able to teach this. Because you're going to have failed launches, you're going to have launches that are successful. And if I continue to depend on my ability to teach it and my expertness on the results of my students and the results of my launches, I'm in for a roller coaster ride. But this is how you can ride steady and peaceful. That first one, pay attention to those thoughts. And when those thoughts come up, they're just in the passenger seat, and I can ask myself, do I want to believe this thought? Like, no, I have 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, I'm losing them right now. I'm on a different journey right now. It's a different challenge. I know how to start a YouTube channel and monetize it. And now I'm on this really fun challenge where I get to reinvent myself. And I'll get to that a little bit later in the video and talk about what my plan is. And I hope that it will be helpful for you as well. Now, the second thing, and before we get there, think about your launches. I love the movie Meet the Robinsons, and they talk about keep moving forward. From your failures, you learn. From your successes, not so much. So when you fail, you're learning. And I love to teach this to my kids. They're learning to jump rope. They get so frustrated. And I just say, right now, we're just going to do frustration. Okay, let's do it. And if we need to yell in a pillow, we'll yell in a pillow. But that's such a healthy thing for them to experience frustration, failure, If you think about a child learning to walk, they fail so many times. It's that Michael Jordan quote, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. So we need to get good at failing. We need to get good at feeling embarrassed and doubting ourselves. That's what the launch does. It's not just, I'm going to launch so I can get the results and then I can prove that I'm worthy enough to teach this. It's, I'm going to launch because I want to get good at failure and I want to get good at self-doubt. And I want to get good because you're going to need those at every layer of your business. And every time I sit down to create content, I'm not going to be expert enough. And that's why it's fun to research and learn, not to prove that I'm expert enough, but to learn more about the topic. I'm bettering myself from a place of abundance, not fear and not lack. So pay attention to those thoughts that are coming from fear and lack and question if you want to keep them. Now, you don't have to flip them. Don't go and switch them and you don't have to fix yourself. Just be aware of when they're showing up. Because a lot of times it'll show up in our actions. We kind of get quiet in our launches. We don't talk about it as much. We're afraid. But what if it's like, I might fail. I might have no enrollments. And I'm going to speak loud and proud and excited. And I'm also going to stay within my integrity and humble. But I'm going to do it from a place of abundance. I'm so excited to teach what I know. All right? You got it? Okay. I could talk about this all day. Number 2. Detach yourself from the result. If my students are doing really well on YouTube, that doesn't mean that I'm a better YouTube coach. Wait, that's so mixed up. What? As a teacher, my students' test scores would determine if I was a good teacher. That's often what my brain was taught. But if my students are failing on YouTube or in the classroom, does that mean I'm not a good teacher? No. I need to detach myself from their results. I might be a first-year teacher and their test scores might reflect a little bit of gaps because I was doing my best. That's okay. And in my YouTube students, it might be the first time I've created the course and launched it, and I'm learning, oh, we didn't need to learn this, or we really need to focus in on this. And so I might be learning along the process. But my students' results, if they're really great, it doesn't mean that I've proved that I'm expert enough and I can do this, because that's again putting you on this wild roller coaster. I believe in each of my students and that they can create a profitable YouTube channel. I believe in what I teach, and a lot of my students might have to rely on my belief until they start seeing it for themselves, or they start to think the same things that allow them to believe that for themselves. But I don't control their beliefs, their thoughts. I do not control any limiting beliefs that are keeping them maybe in an income area, or maybe in an impact. Maybe they're not reaching as many lives as they would like to. And I believe that they can monetize their channel. I believe they can have 100,000 plus subscribers. And the reason why it's easy for me to believe that is I've seen it for myself. And it doesn't mean that they have to experience it to believe it. What if the belief comes before the reality? Your brain, it's called this cognitive dissonance, where what I believe in here, it will be really uncomfortable if my outside reality is far from that. So if I'm saying I have 100,000 subscribers, or I'm helping 100 students inside my coaching program, and on the outside I don't see that, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. My brain doesn't understand what it believes versus the reality. And so I'm creating this gap, and I'm filling that gap. So I continue to practice the beliefs that I want to create in my reality. If you're like, you explained that wrong, Nancy, I probably did. I'm doing a one take on this, so you can nitpick, and I hope that you do. I hope that you comment below and say, like, give us some articles and give us some backup, and I would love to have that conversation. Not from a place of I want to prove her wrong, but from a place of I see where you're coming from, Nancy, and I would love to put a little bit of my input here. Okay? You are more than welcome to comment. Please do. Number 3. Okay, number 1 was pay attention to your feelings. Number 2 is detach from the results. You don't determine your students' results, which is hard to change that mindset, especially for my teacher friends, because a lot of times we've been tied to our students' test scores. But they own their results. I own how I show up and create the best teaching. And my big thing with teaching is making it concise and to the point and easy and simple. And we overcomplicate it. That's what so many of our brains do when we're so close to that mission and vision that we have. All right, number 3 is stay true to you. I see this quite a bit where you'll create content and then you'll see how another person's doing it and you'll start to kind of mimic and copy what they're doing because they're successful. Which defines success for yourself. Is it more money? Is it more impact? Is it a nice balance with time with your family and in creating content? We'll have to do another video on that one. But look at staying true to you. What are your values? What do you feel called to do? I thought this was fascinating, and this is what I referred to earlier in the video, was I looked at my YouTube analytics. I just was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And I know they're not pretty, I've been avoiding them, and I haven't been creating a lot of content. But I still didn't feel like I wasn't a YouTube coach. I still feel very confident in that. And it's because of the mindset tool I taught you, number one, be aware of those thoughts, and number two, detach yourself from the results. And then this one, for my YouTube analytics, I noticed that my videos where I talk about my faith and I talk about Christ, I talk about God, I refer to having a large amount of peace around moving forward with my online business and creating content. And it makes sense why people will leave because they came for teaching and maybe they don't align with those values that I'm currently sharing. However, those videos, I have one that was I left VIP Kid, and I just looked at the analytics and it had the most subscribers in the last few years come onto my channel, which I thought was fascinating because I left a company, but I share my faith and I share how I've came across just content in scripture and I came across guidance through the Bible, like simple stories that came to my mind that helped me through that season where I was really having this a little bit of identity shift and like, who am I if I'm not an online teacher? How do I keep moving forward? And that one had 500 subscribers come onto it, which was awesome. Others where I share stories. So I notice when I share my faith, I share stories and where I'm serving and helping. So I'm staying within integrity. And I thought that was such valuable information that I was avoiding looking at. So looking at my YouTube analytics, I could see that I can continue to share my faith. And I listened to an interview recently. It was by Shalene Johnson and Omar. He's on the Think Media team, but he has his own channel. And I was listening to this interview, and this stuck out to me so much, was he was saying, okay, you have this many Instagram followers, and you have this many podcast downloads, and she's been in the business for years and years, and you have this many subscribers on your YouTube channel. He's like, am I missing anything? And she's like, parenting. I'm an excellent parent. And I can say that now that my kids are adults. And she said, listen and read more books on relationships and focus there, and God will take care of the rest. And I thought that I just needed to hear that, because when we focus so much on the business and I got to make it work, it will all work exactly how it's supposed to as you stay true to your values and your priorities. Mine are my faith, my family, my friends, and that community, that close-knit community that I create right here within my home, within my neighborhood, within the friends that I reach out to, is core foundational priorities. And if those aren't priorities and the business is just taking over, I'm going to feel irritable. I'm going to feel out of alignment, and the business might earn more income because I'm spending more time on it, but it's not going to last. And it's going to be something that I'm not very proud of. And so I want to stay true to me, and I want to stay true to my values and how I want to show up online. So number one, let's review. Pay attention to your thoughts. Number two, detach yourself from the results. And number three, stay true to you. Who you want to be, how you want to show up. A lot of people are going to give you feedback and information, and check in with yourself. Say some prayers. Get quiet. You might need a journal and get that clarity from within because you already know. All right, that's it for today's video. It was I hope that it was helpful. It's been on my mind as I've been coaching several of my clients on imposter syndrome. So I hope. All right, I'll see you guys.